I have to say, out of the 31 movies that I've seen this year so far, my number one movie, the only one movie that I walked out of was Scream 7. Take 3. We used to play a game called Smell My Finger. I never won. Good morning, cinema creatures. I'm James J, Jokey James, James Jurwitz, whatever y'all would like to call me. And this is the Clown Around Show. This is my very first episode number 1 of Clown Around Cinema. And this is a show where we're going to focus on movies, cinema, and some other stuff. So, for this specific episode, I thought we'd go ahead and start with the 31 movies that I've seen so far this year, starting in January all the way till about the end of May. And then I also wanted to talk about some of the most anticipated summer movies that we have coming up. I'm going to do another episode where we cover all the summer movies and talk about them, hopefully with a guest. But and then if we got time, we're going to go ahead and finish it off, taking a look back about 10 years ago to summer of 2016. That was an incredibly full cinema ledger that I thought. I mean, it was just movie after movie after movie every month. So we're going to take a good look at that here in a bit. And, we'll go ahead and get started. And I just want to remind everybody to please remember to like, comment, subscribe, share, and follow for more of the Clown Around Cinema show. And, I just want to thank you all very much for tuning in. So I thought we'd start with kind of a get to know me. I'm a native Texan. I was born in El Paso, spent a little bit of time in Phoenix, and then moved to Houston afterward. And that's kind of where I've settled here. So I'm here based out of Houston. So if anybody's seeing this would like to be a guest, just let me know in the messages and we'll go ahead and get you on. And one of the reasons I started this is I'm a filmmaker and a movie buff, but also a broadcaster at heart. So I wanted to go ahead and turn my interest into something that could possibly be entertaining for everybody out there, any movie fans, or really, hopefully the show evolves into being able to cover pretty much any event. Hopefully it's movie related though. I am a University of Houston downtown communications media graduate. That's where I got my bachelor's. And I was in the University of Houston downtown iRadio program. I had 3 shows. I had one about movies. That was a lot of fun. I had a sports show that specifically focused on my favorite team, the Dallas Cowboys. And then I also had a supernatural show. So we're going to be getting into a lot of that kind of stuff here on Cinema Clown for sure. Because I love how the supernatural is portrayed in movies, and we're going to take a look at maybe some of the local Texas legends. I know there's a Houston Batman, so like an actual man bat. So that'd be an interesting thing to dive into. And I also wrote for the University of Houston downtown paper, The Dateline, and it was 117 articles for the paper, mainly movie reviews. So that was my main focus there. And I'm also a recent graduate of University of Houston Clear Lake. And I was in the digital media filmmaking graduate program. So I got my master's there in digital media, and I had a filmmaking focus. So most of the classes that I took were geared towards filmmaking. And I also took some journalism and broadcast-based classes too. So just a lot of all-around stuff, and I was really happy that I went and did that, because otherwise we're probably not sitting here having this conversation right now. And one of the things I was really proud of my time there at University of Houston Clear Lake were 3 films that I was able to make. And I wrote, directed, and performed in all 3 of them, and they're all related. It's all a shared universe, and it's what I call the Clown Sweat universe. So first up, the main movie that we got The longer one is about 12 minutes, is Clown Sweat. That's a lot of fun. That's on my channel, so if y'all just go check out my videos, you can watch my movie Clown Sweat. And then next up, Voodoo Romance. That one was a lot of fun. That's about half the amount of time of Clown Sweat, about 6.5 minutes. And then Ghost Kitty was my very first movie that I've ever made in my life, where I actually went through the whole process of storyboarding, scripting, shot list, all the above. And we might actually get into, I guess, kind of amateur filmmaking on one of the episodes as a topic. So I'm very proud of those 3 short films, and if y'all want to go check them out, they're in my videos. So I also have a sports show with my friend Jamiron. It's called J&J Sports, and you can find it through JMJJ Sports, and you'll be able to find our YouTube channel there. So we have a weekly show where we talk about all kinds of sports, and we look at it from an international scale. So it's all global stuff. I definitely would urge y'all to check it out. And just speaking of sports, I am a major NFL fan. I love the Dallas Cowboys. So I'm going to be probably shoehorning them in any way I can during multiple conversations that we have. They're just a lot of fun, and I've been a big fan since I guess I was a kid. So I also love all genres of film, and that's one of the reasons why I'm starting this show. But I have to say, I really love science fiction, comedy, and horror. And I love when you're able to get a mix of all of those 3 genres together. It's so much fun, especially when they're good movies. So, yeah, that was a little bit of a get to know me. If you guys have any questions or anything, I'm sure I'm going to be, going into more detail over stuff. Y'all will get to know me over the course of this show for sure. And I wasn't sure where to start today, so I thought we'd go ahead and talk about the first half of 2026 for films and cinema. And this is going to focus mainly, and actually focus solely on cinematic films. So anything that was released in the theaters that I went to see, I'm going to talk about. So 31 films on the list. We got a lot to get through, but I thought we would start with the 5 worst films so far that I've seen of 2026. And then after that, we'll also go into the 5 best films. And then I actually only had one rewatch out of these 31 that I want to go ahead and try again. But I'll get to that here in a bit. So the first worst movie that I saw this year was Primate. It's a horror movie. It came out in January. Unfortunately, this was a one-dimensional film. And, it had really cool visuals. It was filmed on this cliffside house that had this really nice pool in Hawaii. And just beautiful setting. And the film looked good, but I think that was really kind of one of the only things it had going for it. With a horror movie, for me anyway, I like to have that mythology. I like to have that, like a variation of how people are getting hunted or whatever by the creature. I like to have things like that. Whereas, like, if it's just, it's a chimp with rabies, pretty much, who attacks a house full of 20-something-year-olds. And, after you see the gore, it's just like there's not a whole lot more there involving plot. It's just pretty much a slasher with a rabbit chimp. But, the poster was actually cool. I actually had more fun looking at the poster than I did watching the film, if that gives you any idea. So, unfortunately, yes, Primate was the first worst movie that I saw. And then, oh boy. Okay, up next, we have Psycho Killer. So this was the second worst movie that I saw so far. This movie was only in the theaters for like a week. And that shows you whether or not it was a good film. So if we look at one of the things I have on this list is called Project Hail Mary. So, Ryan Gosling, you really can't go wrong with him. But that was in theaters for weeks, and I think even like well over a month, the Project Hail Mary was in theaters. So that just goes to show you, if it's a good movie, then it's probably going to stay in the theater a lot longer. Whereas something like Psycho Killer was there and it was out. It had a really promising beginning, But it was pretty much just a bad production all around. It didn't look terrible, but I think it was just, the plot. There wasn't a whole lot in the way of a plot, which a movie called Psycho Killer, what can you really expect? I just wish they would have maybe took a little bit more time with the history and the background and everything. But, that's definitely one that y'all can probably skip, is Psycho Killer. And up next on the list, my third worst movie of 2026 was Scream 7. Now, I know there's going to be a lot of Scream fans who get upset. I don't dislike the Scream series. I really love number one. Number two was, when that came out, was kind of a different experience. It was one of the first horror sequels where people I knew were really excited for it to come out. And then, the addition of Sarah Michelle Gellar there in the second one definitely ups it. But, the third one, not so much. And then the fourth one actually was the one surprising good one. Now, I will admit, I have not finished number 5 and I have not seen number 6. So I don't know how that'll maybe affect how I viewed Scream 7, although it had a really promising start. Scream 7 did. And that's what was so disappointing about it, was that it fell apart. And they could have held it together a little bit more, but it's almost like it was an intentional rehash. And there were times when it's almost like they were making fun of the audience for sitting in the movies of a sequel of a sequel of a sequel. Honestly, it was pretty annoying. And, they definitely could have done a lot better with the plot. It would just pretty much fell apart, and it wasn't scary. I don't specifically think the Scream movies are scary. Now, the second one has some really good jump scares. The first one earns the scares just through it being such an original and interesting film in itself. But I have to say, out of the 31 movies that I've seen this year so far, my number one movie, the only one movie that I walked out of, was Scream 7. That was my only walkout. I did not stay till the end. I stayed till the end of all 30 other movies, but Scream 7, the only film that I walked out of. I just did not feel like finishing it. It was kind of one of those situations, where you're finishing it on Wikipedia and then it's like, okay, I just saved myself a half hour. So I definitely would not recommend renting Scream 7 on digital, or really anyway. And then my fourth worst movie. My fourth worst movie of 2026 was Undertone. Now, this was a horror film, and this is what I will say about Undertone. It was drastically and majorly overhyped. And that's disappointing to me. Because here's the thing. We'll look back at a movie like Hereditary, which over time I've grown much more fondly of it. I loved Hereditary, which, spoiler alert, up until the part where the mother's floating on the ceiling. And really, I think they could have done without that one little scene. But other than that, I think it's a perfect film, a perfect horror film. And it was not overhyped. The way they were talking about it in the press, the way they were talking about, you'd see commercials for it, and the writers were writing like some crazy stuff. And one of the things that they go to a lot in horror movies is that this is scarier than The Exorcist, or as scary as The Exorcist. And, that's one of those things where it's like, okay, that's going to get people's attention. If you say that you're a scarier film than The Exorcist was, there's not a whole lot of competition there. A lot of people, and I think religion definitely has a lot to do with it, but a lot of people have The Exorcist as the scariest movie of all time. It's definitely on my list. But, okay, so back to Undertone. Completely overhyped. I was expecting something fun. It started okay, but overall it was just bland. And what was disappointing was this movie looked like it was going to be scary. It almost looked like that movie from the early 2000s with Michael Keaton, White Noise, where he goes and he's able to record ghosts off like electrical devices in his computer. But You know what? It wasn't scary, and it could have been, and it's just a movie that people don't have to go and see. Another thing that was unfortunate about this movie Undertone was I remembered I think it came out around St. Patrick's Day, and my coworker I worked at ESPN Radio at the time, and my coworker asked me like, "Oh, so what are you doing for St. Patrick's Day?" And I said, "Well, hey, I might go out and see this movie Undertone." So I told her it's supposed to be really scary. They're talking about it in the media, saying good stuff. And then when I went to work next time and saw her again, she asked me how was the movie, and unfortunately, I disappointed her with the bad news. I said, oh, well, it wasn't very good. It was. I wanted it to be good, but it's one of those horror movies that overhyped is a perfect word to explain it. And then I've got to go with for my fifth worst film of 2026, Mercy. Mercy was not a good film. I'll be honest, I wasn't expecting very much. I was at least entertained, but they could have put it together so much better. I think the one location definitely has a lot to do with maybe it not being the movie that it could have been. It definitely jumps around to other places, but it mainly takes place in one spot with Chris Pratt talking to, I guess, like an AI computer judge. And it's interesting, but I don't think that they did it the right way. It could have been more interesting. One of the things going into this film, Mercy, that I heard about was that they were saying Chris Pratt was better as an action star, that he's not maybe as emotive or can't like just, I guess, act with his face as much as he can with his body, something along those lines. But that was one thing that I was actually looking for during the film. And I actually noticed Chris Pratt was actually one of the lone good parts about this film. He did a really good job with what he was given. Unfortunately, the material that he was given just wasn't up to snuff with the film that it could have been. It could have been a really good crime action thriller, but it just wasn't put together the right way, in my opinion. I would also say Mercy really suffered from having a bad supporting cast. The other actors were given really bad dialogue, but also, it seemed like some of them weren't even trying. And there were a couple scenes and a couple lines and stuff where I was wondering, like, if I was the actor here, I would have maybe asked for a rewrite or just improvised or something. Because, it's got a pretty bad script. So those are my 5 worst movies of 2026 that I've seen out of the 31 so far this year. So let me know, have y'all seen any of those? Primate, Psycho Killer, Scream 7, Undertone, Mercy. Pretty bad movies, but let me know if y'all liked them in the comments, and let me know if there's any movies that I missed of the worst movies of 2026. And then, out of all the 31 films that I saw this year, I thought we'd also talk about the 5 best. Because, we went over the 5 worst. We got the negative stuff out of the way. So now we get to have fun. Okay. Now, this one was a major surprise to me. I was not expecting this movie to be as emotionally affecting as it was for me. But I went, and this was Super Bowl weekend, so early February. And the number one movie that I had, or well, one of the best movies that I have on my list of 2026 was Solo Mio with Kevin James. It takes place in Italy, so just beautiful, beautiful background, beautiful location. The way that they shot it too, it was a really well put together film, and also just really enjoyable. And it definitely got me a little bit there at the end. They just do such a good job with this one. And I think Kevin James really anchors the whole film. I couldn't picture anybody else in this role. Other people could do it, but he just has this certain earnest sweetness to him that he brings to a lot of his roles. And he almost kind of reminds me of his character from the film Hitch. So it's like if his character from Hitch was older now, then this is what he would be like in Solo Mio. And definitely, one of the best films that I've seen of 2026 so far, and a surprise too. I thought it would be entertaining. Kevin James is funny. You know, he's got the comedy stuff down, and I was looking forward to that. But I just wasn't prepared for it to be as emotional as it was. And then the next movie that I've got on the list for the best movies of 2026 out of the 31 that I saw, Mortal Kombat 2. Now, this actually might be the best out of all of them, I think. Just because, I mean, judging by the ones that I've seen so far, I saw Mortal Kombat 2 twice. And that definitely says something about whether it was a good movie. I loved it. The second time I went out, I was like, yeah, they did a really, really good job with this. Because I was looking for stuff that I wasn't looking for on the first watch. And I noticed they packed so much, like many video game references to Mortal Kombat 11, which I will say, Mortal Kombat 11 is probably the best video game I've ever played, or at least one of them. Just so well put together, and there's just so much in it, too. They also got the roster of characters right with Mortal Kombat 11. But there's a lot of that Mortal Kombat 11, and also the most recent release, Mortal Kombat 1, the video game influence in Mortal Kombat 2. And one of the things they also did with Mortal Kombat 2, I noticed, was they took away all the stuff that made the first one not as much fun. So, you know, you have the Arcana, where they have to activate their magical powers, is what they call it. And all of this kind of strange stuff that wasn't in the original game. And then also, they wanted the hero to be Louis Tan, who plays Cole Young in the movie. And I mean, I'll be honest, we didn't need a new character made for this film. Like, we really didn't. And the second one definitely rectifies that. I'm not going to say too much more on that situation because I don't want to spoil anything. But the costumes were so good. The the computer graphics, the practical effects, and even the dialogue was pretty decent. I mean, you know, you look back at the Mortal Kombat Armageddon, which was the sequel to the original Mortal Kombat from 1995, and I really think that's one of the worst movies that's ever been made. And the dialogue, it's really, really bad. But yeah, definitely Mortal Kombat was number 2 on my list of the best movies that I've seen so far. And, you know, one of the few movies here on this list that I saw twice. I think I only saw 2 movies on this list twice. So, you know, it's one of those situations. But yeah, definitely go check out Mortal Kombat 2. It was a lot of fun in the theater, and I think it'll be a lot of fun at home too. Definitely get to purchase this one for sure. And then my number 3 that I have on the list for best movie so far of 2026, Obsession. Yes, this was a horror film with a very simple premise. It's a guy who's got a big crush on a friend of his. So he stops by a shop to pick up like a crystal for her because she lost one of her like crystals. I guess a healing crystal, something like that. So he stops by the shop and he eyes this One Wish Willow thing, which I guess it's something that you open it up and you make a wish and then you break it, and the wish is supposed to come true. Now, of course, there's the typical horror movie warnings on the box saying, you know, stay away, put this down, don't, or, you know, if you're going to wish, be careful what you wish for, pretty much was the gist of what it was saying. Now, what I loved about this movie was the simplicity of the plot. And if you got something like that and you want it to be a good film, you have to cast well. And I thought the female lead in this film was excellent. I would highly recommend Obsession, and I might go into more detail for these 5 best movies and, you know, give you some full-on movie review deep dives here in the future. But Obsession, for sure. I mean, you know, by the end of this year, I think we're going to be talking about Obsession as probably one of the best horror movies, period, of 2026. Definitely it's going to be in the top 5 at this point. So go out and see Obsession. If you haven't seen it yet, see it at the movies. It's a lot of fun. It's intense, though, for sure. It's one of those intense films, but they do it well, and it's never boring throughout the whole film. You're sitting there and you're entertained, and they do an excellent job with it. They definitely, it is long, but I don't think it's overly long, is one thing I will say about it. And then, so number 4 on the list of the best movies of 2026, and this is out of the 31 that I saw, 28 years later, and The Bone Temple. So, this one I also saw twice, just like I had seen the Mortal Kombat 2 twice. And I will say, this was an excellent film. If you liked the first, I think it's the first 2 or 3 movies, then you'll probably most likely definitely like this one. I wasn't a major fan of 28 Days Later or 28 Weeks Later, really. I I saw the 28 Days Later in theaters, and I think that actually was one of the first R-rated movies that I'd ever seen in theaters. And it was interesting too because the one theater that I went to at the time just didn't card, I guess. I was carded once or twice there for movies, but for this one they didn't card, and we went right in and saw it. And I remember it being pretty intense, but I will say I loved the 28 Years Later, the movie that came out before this one, The Bone Temple. I saw that last summer, and that's one of the most beautiful horror movies I've ever seen. They've got a scene where the northern lights are there in the background, and they're walking along this causeway in the ocean, and then they start getting pursued by this massive zombie, and it's just a really cool scene. But then the whole rest of the movie too, it's beautifully shot, but also the plot is it's just got this real, just a beautiful ethereal scene that I would highly recommend people watch the movie just for that one specific scene. But what I will say about 28 Years Later, The Bone Temple, it is equally as disturbing as the first 28 Years Later was emotionally affecting. So, you got a nice, relaxed movie with the first one. This second one, it's violence. It's extreme gore. There's a lot to it. There are scenes where it's torture just for the sake of torture, and I don't know. You almost wonder if maybe the filmmakers were going a little too far, but I think they were just trying to express the insanity of one of the characters. So I love this one, although it was intense and it was extreme, and it was one of those where it's like I'd actually much rather rewatch the first one of these two than this one. And I think we're going to get a third one, and now that one I'm excited about because we got two wildly different movies in the first 28 years later, and then another completely different movie with the Bone Temple. So I'm curious as to what we're going to get with the third movie, and I know Syrian Murphy, I believe is his name. He, I think, is supposed to be in the next one because spoiler alert, he has a cameo at the very end of 28 Years Later, The Bone Temple. So, I'm looking forward to seeing the return of Syrian in the 28 horror series, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun, and looking forward to seeing what the director's going to give us with that one. So, before I get into my most anticipated movies of 2026, I thought I definitely wanted to go down the list of all the films that I saw, and I was going to tell y'all whether to skip it or see it. So you don't have to see these at the theaters. These are just recommendations to watch at home if you're bored. So I'll read these off pretty swiftly. How to Make a Killing, skip it. Skip the Drama. We Bury the Dead, see it. Song Sung Blue, see it. This one was good. Primate, skip it. Greenland 2, see it. Solo Mio, see it. Dracula, skip it. Crime 101, skip. Skip the Goat. Oh, wait, no, excuse me. See Crime 101, see Goat. Skip Psycho Killer, Scream 7. See The Bride, skip Undertone. See Project Hail Mary, see Ready or Not 2, Normal, and also see The Mummy. But skip Michael, Fuse, go see Hoppers, go see Hokum, see Mortal Kombat 2, don't see In the Gray. Check out Obsession, I would, if I were y'all, I would skip Star Wars, The Mandalorian, and Grogu, and also Passenger. That's the most recent film that I saw, and that was severely disappointing. Then again, skip Mercy. Go ahead and see Send Help, Is This Thing On, and definitely see 28 Years Later, The Bone Temple. So those were all 31 movies that I'd seen, and the one rewatch I have on this list is Hokum. I have to see this one again. I was really tired when I went to see it. I wasn't seeing it in the right mind frame, and it's something I have to see again. I think I was maybe expecting a different film, or I wasn't sure what I was expecting for this one. But I was happy to see it, and I enjoyed it, but I'm looking forward to seeing it again, and giving it another fair shake. And then my most anticipated summer movies of 2026. So up first, I have June 5th release of Scary Movie 6. Now, I saw the first one in the cinemas. I saw the third one in the cinemas. I saw the fourth one at the cinema. So, I've seen these at the movies. And I actually rented number two for my birthday party. I think it was like my 6th or 7th grade birthday party. And it was a major hit. Everybody thought it was hilarious. So we were quoting it for weeks, for sure. What I'm excited about with Scary Movie 6 is this is a return. It's back to the Wayans. The Wayans brothers are, back in control of this one, and judging from the trailer, it looks like a lot of fun. Also, they're going to no holds barred on this one, so they're going to be pretty intense with their comedy here. They kind of promised a return to the comedy that we used to get 20 years ago. I will believe it when I see it, but I'm looking forward to it for sure. And then some of the movies that they're going to be getting on are Long Legs, one of the best movies of 2024, I thought. Then Weapons, definitely the best movie of 2025. Then you got Sinners, Terrifier, the Scream series, Smile, and a lot more. So this is just going to be a lot of fun, I think. And also they're bringing Anna Faris back. So that's exciting to see the return of her back to the series. Yeah, Scary Movie 6, I think it's going to be fun. And then releasing on that same day, on June 5th, we got He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. So now I really enjoy the original 80s movie of this. I thought it was a lot of fun. I didn't see it until about 2019, so I was older. I wonder if I grew up with it, I might have a different opinion on it. But, shout out to Gwildor. He's my guy on that one, for sure. And, you got people like Courtney Cox, Dolph Lundgren. This was a lot of fun. And this is before Courtney Cox was famous, although I think Dolph had already hit by that time. Now, one of the things that y'all can do to get ready for He-Man and the Masters of the Universe, if you don't know much about it, is definitely check out that original 80s movie. But I would also heavily recommend the Netflix Kevin Smith series, the He-Man series on Netflix. Check it out. Kevin Smith did a really excellent job with it. The writing is good. The animation is excellent. It's very colorful. It's a lot of fun. And looking back to this movie, the 2026 movie is going to have Jared Leto as Skeletor. So that's an excellent choice for Skeletor. I think they did a good job there. And I'm looking forward to it. What I really like about this specific universe is the way that they mix fantasy, so you get a mix of technology and magic. And I think when you get that mix of those two, it makes for a really fun genre. It's like a sci-fi fantasy type thing. So that's a lot of fun, and I'm looking forward to it. I also one of my favorite characters is Cringer. So that's He-Man's tiger, who it's like kind of an oversized house cat type tiger where it's nice and sweet, but then it can go into beast mode and it turns into battle cat, and that's a lot of fun to see. So looking forward to that. And then about 2 weeks later, we got Jackass Best and Last. I saw the first, second, third, fourth in theaters. I saw the second one twice in theaters. So, I'm a big fan of these. And I've been to a few of Steve-O's shows where he'll go and do comedy. And I also went to 2 of his Don't Try This at Home tours during the Jackass heyday. So it was 2004. I went to a show in Orlando and then to another show in Austin. But I'll get into more detail about that here in the future. But also we're going to give you all an extensive review of Jackass Best and Last. So definitely looking forward to that, and it's definitely on my list of most anticipated summer movies. And then, last but not least, for most anticipated, we have Supergirl. And, Superman was excellent. I'm a fan. I'm a DC. I'm Team DC. I love Marvel. I watch Marvel all the time. But when it comes to those universes, if I had to choose one, I'm going DC all the time. I mean, you got Batman, the Joker, Superman. It's just too much fun. But I do still love Marvel, just to let y'all know. But I'm looking forward to Superman or Supergirl. That Superman was excellent. I loved it. And then, with this one, you got Lobo, played by Jason Momoa, which I don't know, could there be a more perfect character for him? I think that's going to be a lot of fun. And, you got the space setting. So there's you can do whatever you want once you go out into space as a filmmaker, So I'm looking forward to some of the creature designs and some of the strange and bizarre worlds we're going to see. And then just in general, the expansion of the DC universe, I'm very much looking forward to that. The DC has not been like Marvel. They haven't had that nice, clean, cinematic trip. They've had a lot of bumps in the road, and we'll get into that in the future. But I'm looking forward to it, and I think it's going to be a good one. Y'all let me know what you think about that. But also, what's interesting is, y'all remember the Barbenheimer things. I was thinking, with these releases, if you're going to see Scary Movie 6 and He-Man, so would it be like Scary Masters of the Universe? Or maybe Movie Man of the Universe 6? So, and then, for the Jackass and Supergirl, I got Super Jack or Jack Girl. Or, there's a few other ones. Y'all let me know in the comments what you think. So now we got to get into the summer of 2016, and it's the summer of 2026 is a major movie summer. A lot of big stuff coming out, and this reminds me a lot of the summer of 2026 or summer of 2016 when we also got a ton of releases. So let's just go ahead and do a breakdown of these movies. So May 2016, Captain America: Civil War. I don't think there's any arguing with the importance of this, and we were just talking about Marvel, so. That definitely was a big release. I enjoyed that one. I would recommend it. Neighbors 2. It was pretty good. Seth Rogen, you really can't go wrong with his comedy. I'm a big fan of his, but I would recommend it if you enjoyed the first one or you're just looking for a comedy. And then we also had The Nice Guys. Now, this one was really, well received. It was Shane Black who made it. And then you had Russell Crowe and Ryan Gosling. So I think Gosling is one of the reasons why this movie was so loved, too. And then in May, also, you had X-Men Apocalypse. This one was actually a major disappointment from what I remember. People were comparing Apocalypse to Ivan Ooze from the Power Rangers movie. So that was kind of a harsh comparison. And then also in 2016, we had Alice Through the Looking Glass. Now, I didn't see this one, so I can't really speak on it. But I kind of like the way that it looked from the trailers. And then Money Monster. So Jodie Foster, George Clooney, Julia Roberts. I think this is Jodie Foster's movie. I did not also see this one. I did see The Darkness, which is a Blumhouse horror movie with Kevin Bacon. Now, this was interesting. I thought the trailer was scarier than the movie was, but it could have been a better movie, for sure. So now we're into the month of June. We got Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Out of the Shadows. This was a film I was so excited for, and I saw this one twice, actually. What I was excited about for this one was they put in Bebop and Rocksteady, which were the mutant warthog and rhinoceros. And they made that film so much more fun. Also, you got Casey Jones, so it was nice to see him in that, too. And then Me Before You was another June release. It's a romantic drama. This was definitely a heartstringer. I would kind of recommend it, but it does have a strange plot to it. So, and then Pop Star Never Stop Stoppin'. I did not see this one, but it's supposed to be a funny mockumentary. And then The Conjuring 2. I would say the first Conjuring was really much better. I don't really remember a whole lot from The Conjuring 2, but the first one was good. And then Now You See Me 2. The first one wasn't bad. The second one, I don't know. I do want to see the third one though, so that's on my list, and maybe we'll loop back and we'll talk about those in the future. Another June release, Warcraft. This was fun. I've seen this one a few times at home, and I don't know. It's just fun. I was never really into the games, but I do like the look of the film. And then Finding Dory was another June release, the sequel to Finding Nemo from Disney, and this was a major disappointment. People did not like this movie, I remember, because it didn't make the same cultural dent that Finding Nemo did at all. It was not even close. And then you had kind of a generic buddy comedy, Central Intelligence, with Dwayne Johnson and Kevin Hart. And then Independence Day Resurgence was another June release. And this was so bizarre because it's like they waited so long. I think the original came out in '96. So they waited 20 years to release a sequel to that. And Will Smith wasn't even in it. So he's the best part of the first one. Jeff Goldblum, too. But Will Smith is definitely what makes Independence Day so much fun. So to not see him in it, I mean, they say his son is in it, and that's all right, I guess. But we want Will Smith if it's Independence Day and it's supposed to be a Will Smith movie. And then this was one of my movies of the summer of 2016. The Shallows came out in June. Blake Lively gets stuck on a rock as she's surfing, and there's this gigantic great white circling her. And what I loved about this movie was the great white was the perfect size, and it was behaving in a way that you'd think an animal would behave. It wasn't like a monster. Funny thing about the end of this film, and Houston locals and natives will understand this. At the very end of the movie, I saw it in the theater, and you show, it's the very end of the movie, and it's this white sandy beach, it's clear blue water, and all of a sudden lettering pops up on the screen. It says Galveston, Texas. The theater just started bursting out laughing. I mean, if y'all have been to Galveston, I think the water's cleared up, but you go to Galveston in 2016 and it does not look like you're in Cozumel or somewhere in Florida, for sure. So that's something to pay attention to if you ever see The Shallows. And then we had a historical war drama, Free State of Jones, and this was a Matthew McConaughey one. This was really well received. I remembered this movie. And then The Neon Demon. This was interesting too. Psychological horror, very strange film. I probably need to give it a rewatch. And we have moved on to July of 2016. So this was just packed to the brim. A lot of stuff in July. The BFG. Now, I love this book, and I have to go and actually watch this film. I think I've tried to watch it a few times, but now seeing that it's Steven Spielberg, I need to give it another shot. The Legend of Tarzan was a really good July release of 2016. Alexander Skarsgård, Margot Robbie, and the best part of that movie was Samuel L. Jackson. He is a lot of fun and has the best lines, for sure. And then we have The Purge election year. So this was, politically charged, and we're definitely not going to get political on this podcast, but this was an interesting one. I don't really like any of the Purge movies. Maybe I need to try and give them a rewatch, but I've watched the first one a bunch of times, and I'm not a fan. But The Secret Life of Pets was a one that was really well received. People loved that one. And then you had the comedy Mike and Dave Need Wedding Dates. So, R-rated comedy. You got Zac Efron, Adam Devine, and then the combination of Anna Kendrick and Aubrey Plaza made for a really good film. The Infiltrator was another July 2016 release. And, Bryan Cranston. Hard to go wrong with him. But I did not see this one. At Ghostbusters, now this one got a lot of hate because it was an all-female-led reboot. And I don't know, I thought it was actually a lot better than people gave it credit for. The one thing about it was, at the end, they did have a pretty cool scene of all these ghosts flooding the city. But I thought that they could have done the end maybe a little different. But I did like it. I'm not going to say that I disliked it, but I just expected something a little different. And then Star Trek Beyond. This was interesting to see, J.J. Abrams take us back through Star Trek. I'm assuming he probably was a fan growing up. And then the fifth Ice Age installment came out. It was called Collision Course. And people liked this one. And then Lights Out. I saw this one at the Dollar Theater. I waited until it was a bit cheaper. Although there is no Dollar Theater in my area anymore, so that's kind of disappointing. But it wasn't bad. It was entertaining for sure. And then Up next, we have Jason Bourne. So this was Matt Damon returning to the Bourne identity role, and I didn't see that one either, actually. And then Nerve A. This was a techno thriller. So you had Emma Roberts and Dave Franco. Oh no, it's called Nerve. Okay, I do remember this one. This one was it was more entertaining than I thought it was. And then Bad Moms. Mila Kunis, Kristen Bell, Kathryn Hahn. It's hard to go bad with them. So we have moved on to August of 2016. This definitely wrapped the summer up. You got a lot of anti-hero movies, some stop motion stuff, and some really good thrillers too. So first up of August of 2016 in the movies, you had Suicide Squad. This was a lot of fun. DC, I love DC, y'all know. I would definitely recommend watching Suicide Squad. I've seen it so many times. I had it on my phone for a time, so it was one of those movies that I just watched over and over and over and over. I liked it. I love the sequel even more, although I think we need an Ayer cut of Suicide Squad. So let me know in the comments if y'all think we need a David Ayer cut for Suicide Squad. And then we had 9 Lives. This was a Kevin Spacey movie, and he gets stuck inside a cat. I need to go and see this one. That sounds interesting. And then Sausage Party was a Seth Rogen comedy with a bunch of food that is anthropomorphic. So they're talking and they have like society, and so that was bizarre, but it wasn't terrible. Pete's Dragon. This actually was pretty good. I do like Bryce Dallas Howard, and she does a really good job as the lead in that one. And then Florence Foster Jenkins. I haven't seen this one, but you got Meryl Streep and Hugh Grant. And it's based on a true story, it looks like. So then we have Kubo and the Two Strings, another August release. And people loved this one. It was stop motion, but it seemed to I don't know, it was popular and it's kind of stayed in the public lexicon. People are still talking about it 10 years later. And then Todd Phillips made this movie called War Dogs. It was a dark comedy drama. This was fun, though, but it was definitely interesting. You got 2 arms dealers, Jonah Hill and Miles Teller. And they're pretty much going to places where they shouldn't and selling things that they should not. So it's definitely a lot of fun. Then you had a Ben-Hur remake, which I don't know why they even did this one. I remembered it was one of my father's favorite films. But, I tried to watch it, and it actually was just disappointing, more so than anything. And then Mechanic Resurrection. So Jason Statham, really hard to go wrong with him. And, he returned to form of what he did best in that one. And then we had Don't Breathe, which you got a sequel to it too. Fede Alvarez, and this one had Stephen Lang, and he does such an excellent job. He's an excellent actor. He's good. And the very final film that we had of 2016 of the summer, Hell or High Water. It's considered a neo-Western. It's a crime thriller. You got Chris Pine, Ben Foster, and Jeff Bridges is in this one too. I loved Hell or High Water. This one's a lot of fun, and I would highly recommend it. But y'all, please let me know what you thought about the movies of 2016 in the comments. Did y'all like them? Are there any movies that I missed? And, which movies are y'all looking forward to here coming up in 2026? Well, Cinema Creatures, we are getting to the end here. So, I want to thank you all so much for viewing. I just want to please remind everybody to remember to like, comment, subscribe, share, and follow for more of the Clown Around Cinema show. And also message me your movies or any topics or anything for me to cover. And thanks for stopping by, and everybody remember to stay in the cinema.